It's always an exciting time when the San Francisco 49ers get a new quarterback and people are trying to figure out just who this guy is and what makes him so great. And obviously, Brock Purdy has been doing phenomenal this season. He's at the top ranks of almost every major quarterback statistical category. It's absolutely fantastic. And he's leading this team in a phenomenal way, in a way we haven't seen from a 49ers quarterback in a long time. And so part of that process is people trying to figure out what really is Brock Purdy doing and why is he having so much success, and trying to figure out that person underneath the helmet. So when Kyle Juszczyk goes on Jim Rome, he's asked about what makes Brock Purdy so special as a quarterback and all these different types of things. And we keep getting very, very similar responses from all the players on the San Francisco 49ers. But take a listen to Kyle Juszczyk give his take on why Brock is having such a good special season.
I spoke to George Kittle a few weeks back, and I asked him to explain what makes Brock Purdy so unique. And he talked about Purdy's done this amazing job of building relationships with every single member of the offense and beyond. And then he talked about the command that he has in the huddle. What's your take on what Brock brings to the team, both as a player and as a leader?
Yeah, I think George is exactly right in the way he's built relationships with everybody. He's a very personable guy, very easy to talk to, very easy to get along with. But as far as a player, I think it's his consistency, and I think that comes from his preparation. It's really impressive to see how he goes through a week and how he prepares for an opponent. Just how hard this guy really studies. There's not a lot of BSing with Brock during the week. We'll do our install and we'll break the meeting and everyone's moving on to their next meeting, going to another room, and Brock is always still in his chair for an extra few minutes, last guy out of the room, still going over his play calls, going over his pictures. Like, this guy is just dialed in all week. But I think that's why he's been so consistent this year, and I think that's why he's put up the numbers he has. Like, week in, week out, like, Brock has really been the same guy, and he's played at that high level every single week.
One thing that we all know about Brock Purdy is he's not going to be the most physically imposing quarterback. And we understand that this game of football is so heavily evaluated through physical traits, and rightfully so, because that's what we see. We see big guys running into big guys. We see big arms throwing to speed guys, like all these different types of things. So everything comes back to like the evaluation of the physical traits. But if you keep and you're paying attention at home and you keep listening to all these players talk about Brock Purdy and why Brock Purdy is having success and why he's special. Again, Jim Rowe mentioned George Kittle talking about the type of person he is, the way he's been able to become a leader in the locker room, the way he's been able to develop relationships with every player in that locker room. I understand that when we evaluate football, we're turning on the tape and we're watching these guys play for 60 minutes and we are trying to break down what went right, what went wrong, all these different types of things. And a lot of the time we're breaking down the physical traits of it all. But as someone who's played and who also played center and who's worked with quarterbacks, I also understand as well that the intangible traits from a quarterback arguably are more important than the physical tools and traits. Now, obviously, if you can't throw the football, you're not going to have any success in the league. But you can see how guys with elite intangibles find success because they are hard workers, they're persistent, and they find a way to get it done. And when you listen to all of these guys talk about Brock Purdy, it all comes back to the intangibles. And when you turn on the tape, he can make every throw. Like, he's still coming back from UCL surgery. Like, this year, you have seen the process. You've heard Brock Purdy talk about it. He said that he wasn't expecting to get his arm right until about mid-season. And guess what? After the bye, Brock has been cooking. We've seen some of Brock's best throws out of the bye, and that coincidentally aligns with when he was to be believed to be fully out the woods of the repercussions of the UCL surgery. So we can see that Brock can make the throws. He pushes it outside the numbers. He pushes it down the seam. He's constantly pushing the ball downfield, and it changes the way that defenses play against this 49ers offense. Deebo Samuel spoke about this last week. But again, everything keeps coming back to Brock, the person, Brock the intangibles, Brock the leader, because that's what a quarterback is. Quarterback is the leader of the entire team. And so when the guy in that position has that ability to connect with each individual player, build relationships with each individual player, be able to lead all these alpha dogs. Like, again, one of the biggest stories, and Kyle Juszczyk talked about this. David Lombardi did a piece on it, I believe, from Christian McCaffrey's perspective. But Brock Purdy, as a rookie, was able to command the respect of a huddle of all pros and future Hall of Famers right off the bat for simply telling George Kittle to shut up because he was trying to get the play in and George was goofing around. And again, they're like, oh, okay, hell yeah, that's what we want. We want our quarterback to be the leader. The quarterback is the adult in the room. That's just the function of it, and that's why Brock Purdy doing what he's doing at 23 years old is so crazy. His maturity level, the way he carries himself, the way he understands how important this position is, and like Juice talked about, how he prepares for the game, how he puts so much time and effort into making himself be ready to go. And the players see that. And when your quarterback, the leader of the team, is putting in the most work, it makes it hard not to fall in line with that. Does that make sense? So, again, we'll always focus on the plays on the field and what was done and how it was executed. But you also have to keep coming back to the elite intangibles that Brock Purdy has and are clearly on display week in, week out, obviously on Sundays. But when you hear about these guys talk about Brock Purdy, a lot of the time they're talking about what Brock does from Monday to Saturday, which doesn't get discussed a lot, but is the huge, huge reason why they find success on Sundays is based on their preparation and how they continue to build internally in that locker room. So it's just another one that you can add to the list. Again, we had so many players come out last year talking about, oh, Brock, we had Willie Snead come out and be like, oh, Brock reminds me of Drew Brees from how he carries himself and how he prepares. Ray McLeod. Oh, I see a lot of Ben Roethlisberger and I see a lot of Josh Allen, two quarterbacks that I played with, from how he carries himself and how he prepares. He's got good intangibles. He's built the right way, and he's only continuing to improve from a physical standpoint. And that's why Brock Purdy is a good quarterback. That's why Brock Purdy is solidifying himself as the franchise moving forward, franchise quarterback. He's that guy. So, again, we find ourselves in an interesting period because everyone's trying to still figure that out. Everyone's still like, are we jumping the gun by saying he's a franchise quarterback? We should wait and see. Who really is Brock? Is the floor going to fall there? So there's a lot of questions of like, who is this guy? So I think that's why these guys keep getting asked about this. This isn't going to last for that much longer, especially if Brock continues to play at this level. If we get there's a very good chance that all this conversation stops at the end of this year if the 49ers reach their ultimate goal, which they are on pace for. So I just be patient. We're still trying to figure out who Brock is. So we're getting all these different perspectives from players and everything like that. Let me know what you guys think about what Kyle Juszczyk had to say on the Jim Rome Show. Let me know in the comments below. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more updates.